Welcome back, everyone, to the LFR coverage of the French Grand Prix here at the Tuesday night division. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome to this YouTube channel, of course. The LFR YouTube channel, Limitless Formula Racing League. Subscribe to see more LFR content, and let's get into the race here at the Circuit de Paul Ricard. So let's talk about where we are before we get into this Grand Prix. Of course, we're here for the French Grand Prix, round 12 of the Season 2 Championship event. This circuit, which is located in Le Castellet, French, is located on the south side of France. And so a beautiful place. Le Castellet is a wonderful city, of course, in the south side of France. In terms of the track itself, we got 15 turns to make up a circuit length of 5.8 kilometers. That's 3.6 miles long. There's also 2 DRS zones to help encourage overtaking for around here. One down the pit straight into the first 2 turns, and that's going to be a very difficult place to make an overtake, guys, because those 2 turns are very, very difficult to go side by side at because it's so tight and narrow that these drivers will have a difficult time trying to make an overtake by going side by side with their rivals. But of course, the best place to make an overtake for around here, in my opinion, is between turn 7 and turn 8, and that's our second DRS zone down the back straight into the chicane at 8 and 9. You can go with a slipstream from the car ahead, and you can go up to around 210 miles per hour. That, of course, is if it's not raining like it is today. But in the race, if it's going to be dry, I'm assuming drivers will be going up to around 210 miles per hour. And we'll see what these drivers can do down that straight if they can make a good overtake into turn 8. So with the track details aside, let's get into the Grand Prix here at LFR. It's good to be back commentating on this league once again. Limitless Formula Racing League, of course. And this is the Tuesday night division round 12 of the Season 2 Championship event. You're probably wondering, who am I? Well, I'm Formula Jonah, your commentator and your host for today's race. I'll be bringing you all the action from LFR's French Grand Prix here in Paul Ricard. So right now, you join us with 5 minutes and 40 seconds remaining of the qualifying session here today in France. And as I mentioned just briefly in the intro, it is raining out there on track. A few drivers struggling to get the car under control, as this track can be very difficult, especially in very difficult conditions like these are in today's qualifying session. Now, I'm not particularly sure what the conditions are going to be like in the Grand Prix. Hopefully dry, but of course, rain could always spice things up as well. I wouldn't mind some rain in the Grand Prix as well. But right now, let's focus on what we're seeing on track. We just have a few minutes left of the qualifying session. Everyone's going to be coming into the pit lane because they're going to sit on to, like, they're going to come into the pit lane and they're going to put on a fresh set of tires as Lucas goes pole position, provisionally, of course, a 140.1. Maybe the times are just spicing up a little bit more. But yeah, as I was saying, drivers are coming into the pit lane and they're going to set a new fresh tire, and then they're going to go in, maybe look at their setup, also maybe look at where they can improve on that time. And speaking of improving, I think a lot of drivers are doing that, as Aub Jr. in the Ferraris, there goes Bugs Bunny, his teammate, on to pull. The 2 Ferraris go P1 and P2. So very interesting to see how this is all working out, you know, with the drivers starting to go even faster than the previous times. I wonder if the rain is starting to calm down, and as it looks like it from on board with Bugs Bunny, it's looking pretty looking pretty good when it turns in terms of rain out there. It looks like the rain's starting to calm down a little bit. Maybe we're going to see some faster lap times, as we already have been doing so in today's qualifying session. So looks like there's a few drivers out on track. Like I mentioned, the 2 Ferraris sitting on provisional first place and second place right now. Bugs Bunny on top with the fastest lap time of a 139.8 as it stands in today's session. Now, will the conditions improve for drivers to go faster than that? Most likely. It looks like the conditions are improving as we speak. So we will find out how that all works out. By the way, we will talk about what I'm going to talk about in just a second more in the Grand Prix, and that is the championship standings. Now, there's just a few races left of the season, and the championship is ever closer as we come down into turn 12. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the race, but just quickly wanted to mention that the championship is quite fierce up at the top, especially between the top 2 drivers in the Drivers' Championship. Can't wait to see what they can do on track here today and throughout the season as well. So a few other drivers looking to improve on their times. Maybe who do I think is going to be grabbing pole position? Well, I mean, the Ferraris and the Alpines look pretty quick. Both Ferraris sitting first and second, and the two Alpines sitting third and fourth. And remember, Alpine, this is their home Grand Prix. Alpine is from France, and so the two Alpine drivers, I'm assuming, will want to get a good result for the French Mark team. But yeah, I think Alpine and Ferrari will do well. I think a few other drivers are going to be going well as well. King in that AlphaTauri looking pretty fast right now. He's got a 140.3, so he's looking pretty quick. He's sitting P5 at this time. I think he could definitely improve on that time. Rabbi looking very quick as well. Now, Rabbi is in that hunt for the championship, remember. So the Haas driver looking to get a good result in today's race. We will find out how that works out if he's able to get a good result in qualifying and into the Grand Prix. Right now, he just went P5, and he's got to make sure that he keeps ahead of his rival Tim, who is actually not here today. I do not see him on the grid, so I don't think Tim's able to make today's race. So Rabbi could be scoring some decent points in today's race. As there he spins off at the exit of turn 6, entrance of turn 7 there. So he's going to have to get back on track, make sure those tires are ready to go if he's going to be able to set another lap time and try and improve on his time. And if he can definitely do that. He's got a 140.2 at this time, and just ahead of him is the two Alpines with 140.1s. So Rabbi could definitely get a good result today, and he could definitely try and challenge for pole position. We will see how that all works out. Another driver I'm curious to see what can do on track is Crossfire Strikes. I know that I've commented on him before in some previous leagues, and in today's race, I'm expecting him to get a really good result, maybe try and challenge for pole position. Why not? Let's ride an onboard with the McLaren driver as he comes across the line in these very difficult conditions with just a minute to go. So down the pit straight, we're going to have DRS in the real race, of course, if, of course, it's dry conditions. Into turn 1 and 2, as I mentioned in the intro, it's very tight here, very narrow, so drivers going side by side, it's going to be very difficult to do so. Now into this chicane, which I absolutely love. You want to brake just before the 50-meter mark in these difficult conditions, turn 3 and turn 4. Now we come into 5. This is a traction area of the track, as sector 1 can be very difficult in these conditions. Through turn 6, looking pretty good for Crossfire as he is coming through turn 7 now, another traction zone, of course, and then we come on to the power and up to 8th gear immediately as we come down that long straight. In dry conditions, we're going to see times up to around 210 miles per hour, of course, depending on your exits out of that corner. Get right between the curb and then hit that curb on the left as you come through turn 8 and turn 9. I love this section right here because you shift down to second, then immediately up to third. It's just incredible. Now, back onto that straight that was the DRS zone, of course. Of course, there's no DRS on this particular straight, as he's going purple through the second sector. Crossfire Strikes now turn 11 now, looking pretty strong as he wants to get really close to the left side, then cut in and go to the right. Make sure you get on that curb, not too wide, of course, because you can get an invalid lap time. Through turn 12 now, you want to get really close to that curb. Do not hit that, though, as you can spin off. That's another traction zone right there as well. Just 3 turns to go. Through turn 14 now, you want to a little bit get on the curb. It depends, of course, on your entrances to that corner. Through turn 15, another traction zone, heavy braking zone, shift down to second gear, immediately up to third and fourth as Crossfire's doing that, especially in these very difficult conditions. Crossfire to the line now. What can he do? Can he put it on pole? No, it can't be pole, but it is P4 for the McLaren driver. As it stands, he's on the second row of the grid. The McLaren looking really fast with a 140.180, just separated between the Alpine and the McLaren by just 8 one-thousandths of a second. Very quick lap times happening right here. Keen is also on a lap. Keep an eye on the AlphaTauri driver. I think Lucas is on a lap, but he's invalidated on his time. I think Aab as well in the Ferrari looking pretty fast. Right now he's coming through the exit of turn 11. Into turn 12 we go. This is one of those corners, guys, that you want to make sure you hit perfectly because one little mistake, you can lose the car. So next to the line is going to be, I think, the AlphaTauri of Keen as he comes to the line now around the final corner, just barely getting on the curb. Oh, and he gets an invalidation, just losing it a little bit, so Keen is not going to be improving on that time. But can Aab challenge his teammate to go on to pole position here today? Yes, he does, by just 1/10 of a second. Velace is on pole for the French Grand Prix here today. Bugs Bunny in the second Ferrari cannot improve because he's invalidated on his time. So Bugs Bunny's teammate grabs pole position here today, and that is an amazing lap in these very treacherous conditions. So Ab in the Ferrari grabs pole alongside Bugs Bunny in the Ferrari in second position. It's a Ferrari front row lockout in the French Grand Prix, with Anthony in the Alpine sitting P3. Alpine make it up into the top 3 at their home Grand Prix. Great to see that as well. So the top 3 all stay the same, but a very decent lap there from the 2 Ferraris there as they start on pole here in France. All right, so this is the results of the French Grand Prix here in Tuesday night racing tier. It is the 2 Ferraris on pole. On the top step, of course, right now. Can they hold that to the end of the Grand Prix? We will find out how that all works out. But yeah, the 2 Ferraris starting on the front row of the grid. Let's see who will be able to get the better start and lead. Which of the Ferraris will lead? Or may it not be even a Ferrari that leads down to turn 1? Will Anthony, who's starting P3, get the better start? Maybe jump ahead of those 2 Ferraris and lead down into turn 1? Or a possible different driver like Crossfire Strikes or Rabbi, who's leading that championship as well. Or maybe another driver, you know? So we'll see how it all works out. But that is the results for the French Grand Prix qualifying. Now we head into the Grand Prix. We will find out how the conditions are on that one, and also who ends up on top here in LFR. All right, so let's get this qualifying session underway. We got 20 seconds to go in this loading screen that we're having, and then we're going to get the race underway. Formation lap is going to get underway as well, and then we'll get into the Grand Prix itself. Super excited for this one. Hope you guys are all enjoying the qualifying session, and of course, excited for that Grand Prix as well. Subscribe to the LFR YouTube channel to see more of this league's content on, of course, there are 3 different divisions. Amazing league this truly is. I can't wait to be commentating on this tier in today's race, and hopefully in the future as well. If you're also interested in seeing more of my style of commentary and just content that I do make, definitely go check out my channel. It's called the Formula Jonah YouTube channel. You guys can definitely go check that out on YouTube. So let's get into today's race at the French Grand Prix, Circuit de Paul Ricard. We got 27 laps awaiting us for the race here today. A few drivers starting on different tires as it stands. We will go through all that. Mostly everyone is all on the medium compound tires, but a few opting to go for the softs and maybe even the hards as well. I see Flea down there in P16 on the hard compound tires as it stands, so that's looking really interesting. So let's do the rundown of the grid before we get into our race today. The Ferraris line up in P1 and P2, ahead of Bugs Bunny as they sit P1 and P2 on the medium compound tires. Looking down at the rest of the grid, we have Anthony in the Alpine starting P3, looking really strong in the Alpine, alongside Crossfire Strike starting on the soft compound tires. Let's see what he can do, especially with all the rest of his rivals around him on the medium compound tires. He could be absolutely flying at the start of this one. We will find out how that works out. Anthony's teammate Lucas is in the Alpine starting P5 alongside Rabbi, the championship leader. He needs to get some good points today if he's going to be able to get a good lead over Tim in the championship. Kingsholm in the AlphaTauri sits P7 alongside the sad Pancake as he's in the Williams starting P8. Pancake's teammate Fearless is in the second Williams starting P9. The 2 Williams looking for some good points in today's race as it's at P8 and P9. Roran rounds off the top 10 as the Alfa Romeo driver will round off the 5th row of the grid. It's an all Red Bull 6th row of the grid with Bearded Dave alongside Contra in the Red Bulls sitting P11 and P12. Bearded Dave on the soft compound tires. Keep an eye on him as well. He might be able to get a good start in today's race, maybe try and overtake Warren, but we'll see how that all works out. Wolfane in the McLaren sits P13 alongside Mr. Basil in the Alfa Romeo sitting 14th. Chem Jazz and Flea sitting P15 and P16, and Flea's on the hard compound tires, remember, so let's see what he can do. And it's an all-Mercedes back row of the grid with Nem and Yo-Yo sitting in P17 and P18. So, it's time to go for the LFR race here in Tuesday Night Racing Leagues. I'm your commentator, Formula Jonah, for these 27 laps of the French Grand Prix here in round 12. So let's get this race underway here in France at the Circuit de Paul Ricard. Where are the 5 lights? I'm waiting for those 5 lights. Where are they? Hope there's no glitches in today's race. There we go. The 5 red lights are about to go out for the LFR race here in France. It's lights out, and away we go for racing once again. Really decent start for the second place driver, who's now up to first. Bugs Bunny up into the lead of the Grand Prix as the 2 Ferraris swap positions at the start. Crossfire got the better start than Anthony, who moves down to P5 across now, trying to make a move on the Ferrari as there's a few drivers spinning off there. I think there was some contact towards the back of the field. I can see a Red Bull and an Alfa Romeo. I think that was Sad Pancake, Warren, and Contra that may have made contact there. Bearded Dave down to P16 as well. Rabbi and Anthony go side by side as well. The Haas and the Alpine swap positions there. Rabbi up to P5 now. So good start there as King in the AlphaTauri making his moves. I think Fearless has spun it. Yeah, Fearless did spin it. And he's down to P16, but back up at the front. Crossfire has got past Aab there. Aab from first now down to third place as Crossfire on the move right now. Has made the move on the Ferrari and is now looking for the second Ferrari driver as he's up to second place now. Crossfire looking on Bugs Bunny to try and make the move, and possibly down into turn 11. He's right in the back of the Ferrari. Has a lot more slipstream, a lot more grip than those medium compound tires that Bugs Bunny's running at this time. But Crossfire on the soft compound tires could be challenging the Ferrari maybe into the final few corners of this Grand Prix. Let's see how this all works out. The McLaren driver through turn 12 and 13 we go as Flea and Mr. Basil continue their battle in P9 and P10 as it stands. Crossfire cannot make the move into the final corner, but he's got a lot more grip than the Ferrari to try and get off the line. Bugs Bunny tries to break the toe down to the first corner. Is he going to lead away as we come down into the second lap? We will see as the Ferrari will lead us away. Crossfire strikes will be down to P2. So no change at the top as it stands, but there is some changes going on towards the middle of the pack right now. Kingsholm in the AlphaTauri still P7, looking for the move on Anthony. He's right up there. The 2 Alpines sitting P4 and P6. Anthony did not get the best of starts, but Kingsholm's in looking to make a move on the Alpine as fast as possible. Dr. Wolfane on the back of that AlphaTauri as well. Let's see how this works out. So up at the front, it looks like Crossfire trying to make the move on Bugs Bunny still. Bugs Bunny trying to break the slipstream down to these ends of these straights, but that McLaren is really pressurizing the Ferrari. But while that's happening, his tires are going to start degrading, because that's the thing, guys. We didn't really talk about this earlier on, but the tire degradation for the softs is not very good for around this track. The softs really die out around lap 6, I'd say. That's when you have to start coming in for the soft tires. They're that quick. So, while Crossfire is trying to challenge Bugs Bunny, his tires might be degrading a little bit more than what he would have liked, of course. But he knows that, and he's going to try and overtake Bugs Bunny as soon as possible before that happens. Of course, those softs are going to be much faster than the mediums at this point in the Grand Prix. Probably around lap 5, those mediums will be faster, though, than the softs. But Crossfire has to get past Bugs Bunny if he's going to make sure that he gets ahead of that Ferrari. DRS is not enabled quite yet. It's going to be enabled this lap, as onto the back straight we will see the DRS. So most likely Crossfire will have the opportunity to make the move on the Ferrari driver into turn 8. We will find out how that all works out. I'm also keeping an eye on the drivers in the mid-pack at the moment. Keep an eye on that. But right now I want to focus the cameras all on the front right now, as Sad Pancake just got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, possibly at turn 2. It kind of looks like that. That corner can be very difficult for getting penalties. But yeah, the Sad Pancake has got that penalty, and that could affect his end result. Crossfire with the slipstream, with the rocket ship of the McLaren, tries to make the move, but cannot make it. But he's going to go trying down the inside as Mr. Basil is out of the Grand Prix. That is our first retirement of the Grand Prix. Mr. Basil is out of the race. That's a virtual safety car that has been called out on track, and that is at the exit of turn 7. Mr. Basil Basil out of the Grand Prix. Oh, that's super sad for the Alfa Romeo, as I think he was around P11 or something like that, almost into the points as well. I think he actually was in the points, if I'm not mistaken. I may have got that one wrong, though. But Mr. Basil was in a really good position, and unfortunately is out of the French Grand Prix on lap 3. Super unfortunate to see, but that's how it goes in racing. Sometimes there's incidents like that. But because of that, the VSC has been deployed, and we will get a virtual safety car out for just a few more seconds in today's race. As there we go. As already Crossfire Strikes has got the advantage to try and go down the inside on Bugs Bunny. He had the speed off of that virtual safety car, and now tries to go side by side with the Ferrari, but now here comes Ahab as well, trying to make this 3 wide between the 3 drivers here for the battle for first position. This is great to see as Ahab goes down the inside. The Ferrari of Bugs Bunny looks to keep that position, but does not. Oh, but Crossfire spins it off of turn 2, saves the car, but does lose positions there. Ahab now returns as the race leader of the French Grand Prix. Lucas now is up into P2. Bugs Bunny and Crossfire make a little contact there. That demoted them to P3 and P5, but they'll definitely be coming back from that one. I think Crossfire got a little too much on turn 2, spun the car. It's very easy to do that, you know. It doesn't look like there's any damage to either car there, so all good there. Just a little bit of a setback there, so all good. Looks like the Haas of Rabbi trying to make the move, as meanwhile we have Anthony making the move on Crossfire, and you know what? The Alpine has done it, but Crossfire coming back at the Alpine, coming down into turn 9. He cannot get past. Meanwhile, the battle between 7th and 8th continues on, as Dr. Wolfane and it's King home in the AlphaTauri still battling for position. King gets ahead of the McLaren and up into P7. So the AlphaTauri continues his advantage of trying to catch up to the top 6 here today. Dr. Wolfane is also battling with that AlphaTauri. So the two will be continuing to catch those top 6 drivers. We will find out how that all works out, if Keen and Dr. Wolfane will be able to catch those guys. And they're slowly doing that. The AlphaTauri is just 2.6 seconds behind Anthony, so we'll see how that all works out. As Crossfire Strikes comes into the pit lane quite early, I must say. I would have expected him to go maybe another lap or maybe another 2 laps or something like that, but maybe his tires are just absolutely done, and he feels that the better strategy will be go on to those medium compound tires, and that looks to be the case right there. Lucas in the Alpine looking to make a move on the Ferrari of Ahab in that Ferrari. Let's see if the Ferrari can keep that position, though, as Lucas in the Alpine will look to make the move into turn 8. The slipstream is going to be super powerful down to that chicane. It's all about the exits, though. Oh, Lucas did not get a very good exit there, as he went a little too wide, lost the car a little bit, and that might compromise his opportunity to make the move on the Ferrari driver. He cannot get past into that as expected, because the little mistake that he made kind of compromised that position to try and make a move. But of course, he'll have the opportunity again in just a few moments' time. He is gaining a lot of time, though, on Veloce Ahab in that Ferrari, as here comes the Alpine, who spins it off and into the wall. Lucas out of the Grand Prix. That is a huge contact. That's probably going to be a full course safety car. It's a virtual safety car that has been called down. That was perfect timing. I was about to get telemetry up on screen, but there's no need now, because Lucas is out of the Grand Prix. Lucas in the Alpine is out as he spins off at the exit of turn 10. That is a massive crash for the Alpine driver, as he is out of the Grand Prix. He was on the back of the Ferrari. It looks like he just turned in a little bit too early, was maybe trying to make the move on the Ferrari and try and get the better exit out of that corner, trying to go side by side maybe into turn 11, but unfortunately he just went a little too much on the power into turn 10 and just lost the car. And that is Lucas, who was battling for the race victory, out of the French Grand Prix for Alpine. So it now returns to a Ferrari 1-2 as it stood in the start of the French Grand Prix, as Ahab and Bugs Bunny lead us away, as the two Ferraris lead us away. But Bugs Bunny under pressure from the championship leader in the Haas right now. Rab in that Haas right behind the Ferrari of Bugs Bunny. I think he'll have the opportunity to make the move on the Ferrari, possibly down into turn 8. Here he comes, DRS enabled, and that is a massive slipstream down to turn 8. Incredible speed by the Haas driver, and Bugs Bunny just about keeps P3 there, of course, as he was looking to make the move on Rab, possibly down into turn 9, but just didn't have the speed. So Rab up into P2. That's good for his championship hopes of getting a good advantage off of Tim in the championship event. But yeah, Rabbi in that Haas keeps ahead of the Ferrari, and the Haas splits the two Ferraris, and now he is up into P2. So good to see that. Anthony in that Alpine right there as well. Keep an eye on that Alpine car. He is the sole remaining Alpine in today's race, as Lucas is out of the Grand Prix. And Anthony will be looking to get a good result for the home team of Alpine, of course. And possibly maybe trying to get that podium. We will find out how that all works out. He is really close to the back of the Ferrari and Haas car as well. So we'll see how that all works out, as the Haas just at the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. That is seriously quick from our championship leader in Tuesday night racing tier. As Bugs Bunny in the Ferrari will still try and make the move on the Haas, possibly into turn 8, but he has to make sure that he's within DRS range and at least, I'd say, 4 to 5 tenths behind that Haas driver. And he's actually in that gap right now, so it's looking pretty good so far. It's all about the exits, though. Out of turn 7... I'd say pretty equal exits for both drivers there. Bugs Bunny is 7 tenths behind, so I don't know if he'll have the opportunity to make the move on the Haas driver this time round. And Anthony's just a little too far behind Bugs Bunny. It's kind of like a DRS train right here. And if Keen and Wolfgang continue their battle, they might be able to catch up, as they're going to go side by side. Wolfgang gets ahead of the AlphaTauri. The AlphaTauri will stay behind the McLaren, will get ahead. So Dr. Wolfgang up to P5 now. And Keen's home will now be down to P6. Now, the two AlphaTauris looking really strong in today's race, as well as Flea. You can just see that AlphaTauri under pressure from ChemJazz. He's right there as well. 2.7 seconds separating the two AlphaTauris. Now, the AlphaTauris are looking for a really good performance, as down the inside goes one of the AlphaTauris, and Keen's home trying to continue this battle with Dr. Wolfgang as the battle continues on. They're still side by side through turn 12. And let's see if he can go around the outside at a turn 13, and you know what? He's worked that out and has got past into 5th. So good move there. And Dr. Wolfgang will look to challenge after the AlphaTauri, possibly down into turn 1. Can we see a nice little battle into the first turn? Let's find out. Dr. Wolfgang has got the slipstream. He's looking to go side by side with his rival. Down into turn 1 we go. Who's going to get ahead? They're side by side, but I think it is King's Home that gets ahead of Dr. Wolfgang. Dr. Wolfgang has to back out, but he will have the opportunity down into turn 8 once again when the DRS zone appears at that section of the track. Now you're probably wondering, when is the time for the medium compound runners to pit? That is a very interesting question, and I will try and answer it as best as possible. Well, I think mediums will probably go around 11 laps for around here, because the best strategy for around here is a medium to hard. That is the best strategy for around here, because if you went medium soft, those softs would die out super quick and you just lose too much time. So that strategy's out of the question unless someone tries it. But here comes Rabbi around the outside of Bugs Bunny down into turn 11. Bugs Bunny just keeps the position and just squeezes ahead of that Haas cars. Anthony came out of absolutely nowhere and made a brilliant move on the Haas driver. I did not see that on track, but he just absolutely did a great job to move himself up into P3 now. What a move that was from the Alpine car as we continue the battle for P2. Now we'll keep all our cameras on this battle right now. And by the way, Flea has started to catch up to Dr. Wolfgang, so he's brought that train of cars now to the two drivers that are fighting for P5 in the Grand Prix. So we're going to have a nice little battle for P5 between a couple of cars there, so that'll be good to see. But what I was saying before this awesome battle we're seeing right now happen on screen is that the strategy is going to be key for today's race, because medium to hard is the better strategy, and undercut is the best area as well. Because the thing is, guys, if you pit a lap earlier than your rival, you should be able to come out ahead, and that'll work out brilliantly. It's all about timing, though, so we will find out how this all works out. Now keep an eye on Crossfire Strikes. He is going for the soft medium, most likely soft, I would say. That's a possible strategy, but he has to take those mediums a long way, and he can definitely do that. But for all the medium compound runners, you definitely have... Oh, hold on a second. Anthony and Bugs Bunny, I think, just made contact, or was that Rabbi and Anthony? I'm not exactly sure, but Anthony got a 8-second time penalty. No, it's 6-second time penalty. He got two 3-second time penalties I wonder if Bugs Bunny and Anthony made contact there as one driver was off the track, but down the inside goes Bugs Bunny. What a brilliant move that was from the Ferrari driver as he moves himself up into P2, but the battle is not over anytime soon. Rabbi trying to keep it around the outside, maybe go for the switchback maneuver on the Ferrari driver, try and get the better exit out of turn 12. He cannot make the move into that particular part of the track, but he's going to have the opportunity into the first turn. But yeah, going back to strategy, I think medium hard will be the best strategy. It's all about that undercut though, so we will find out how that all works out. Probably lap 11, we'll see drivers, maybe even now actually, at the end of this lap, we could see maybe Bugs Bunny going for that undercut strategy, or maybe Anthony going for that undercut strategy. We will find out how that all works out. Rabbi cannot get past Bugs Bunny, who's just got a 3-second time penalty. That could help him out there. But, Bugs Bunny might be able to keep this going into turn 9. It's all about the exits, though. I'm curious to see if that Haas driver will be able to use the slipstream and maybe get past the Ferrari. Let's get telemetry on so we can see exactly what's what. He's got 22% ERS. He's using that ERS. He's now using the DRS, the slipstream, and the power of that car to try and go past the Ferrari, and it has worked out beautifully. Is Anthony going to try and make a move? No, he's further back. He cannot make the move on these two drivers as it stands. Bugs Bunny down to P3 now, but he's going to try and make the move on the Haas. He's all over the back of the Haas. He's using every ounce of ERS he can get to try and go side by side with the Haas driver down into the difficult turn 10. Is this going to work out? Ooh, a little bit of wheel baiting there as the two go side by side down into turn 11. This worked out earlier for Bugs Bunny, and you know what? It's worked out once again. But is the Haas going to come back at the Ferrari, possibly down into turn 12? No, it doesn't look like it. Anthony right there as well, so that Haas is kind of stuck in a really difficult position right here as he's got the Ferrari to try and overtake, but he also has to defend against that Alpine who's right behind him in today's race. It looks like Bugs Bunny is going for the undercut strategy. I told you guys that one of these guys will probably try and go for the undercut, and that is actually a really smart move by Bugs Bunny there. He goes into the pit lane, and this is all about the pit stop now, guys. This is what's super important. The team makes the call, of course. If, of course, in today's race and in the F1 2021 game, the team doesn't have too much of a impact on the driver's race, of course. But of course, if it's a slow stop, if maybe the driver misses that button to press, then it ruins that entire gap and that battle that they were having. But it was all good there for Bugs Bunny. He comes out in P10 in clean air and ahead of Crossfire strikes as well. So absolutely perfect for Bugs Bunny. Now it's all about catching up to those drivers, gaining time on Anthony and Rabbi. And what's good too is that Anthony and Rabbi will be continuing their battle as Anthony moves up into second place now. That Alpine no longer has to stick behind the two drivers. He is the only one with DRS on this occasion, and he gets past the Haas fair and square. So Anthony gets past into P2, and the question will be, who will pit this lap? Will it be both drivers? Will it be one of these guys? I don't know. If Anthony stays out, I would pit if I was Rabbi. But we will find out how that all works out. I'm going to keep an onboard with the Haas car as well. Actually, hold on, I'm not going to do that. I will see how that all works out because we have a nice little battle for P8. Chem, Jazz, and Flea having a really good battle here for P8 in the Grand Prix. The Aston Martin keeps ahead of the AlphaTauri for now. As that's exactly what's happened up at the front, guys. Back up to what we were saying. Anthony has stayed out, and Rabbi has come into the pit lane. This is exactly what Rabbi needed if he's going to be able to make the move on Anthony. But now, if I were Anthony, I would just push as much as possible on these tires, bring them to the limit, and just make sure you don't spin. It's a very difficult thing to do, but it's definitely possible. So we'll see how that all works out. Aeb stayed out as well. The race leader still with a 3.7 gap. We haven't seen too much of the Ferrari besides that brilliant overtake that he pulled on Crossfire and Bugs Bunny, but he still has that 3.6 second gap, and he's most likely going to come in on the end of this lap, or he's going to be going for that medium to soft strategy, which is definitely a possibility if he has the opportunity to do so. By the way, Yo-Yo on Sad Pancake. There's a nice little battle for P3 in the Grand Prix. Chemjazz and Flea continue their battle as well. We'll keep an eye on this one right now. As Flea using all the ERS and the DRS to try and make the move on the Aston Martin. He's going to soar past that Aston and get ahead into P5. No change up in third. current positions for the time being. And by the way, Bugs Bunny did keep ahead of Rabbi, so that undercut worked out like a charm for the Ferrari driver there. 1.7 seconds now separates the two drivers, and all it is right now is Bugs Bunny's got to make sure he keeps that gap and make sure that Rabbi does not get within DRS range to try and overtake that Ferrari. But if he does, I think we'll have a great battle there for P7. It will be great to see how that all works out. So, the two race leaders come into the pit lane. Veloce, Ayob, and Anthony come into the pits for, I'm assuming, a set of hard compound tires. Question is, where will they come out? Most likely Sad Pancake and Yo-Yo will come in as they are doing that exactly. Flea will take over as the race leader with Chemjazz in P2. Unless that battle continues on and Chemjazz makes the move, we will find out how that all works out. But I'm curious for Bugs Bunny, is he going to go ahead of his teammate? Let's find out. Ooh, there's the Ferrari. And Ab comes out ahead, so he pulled off the overcut strategy. Of course, he was already ahead though, so it was all good there, but I think the undercut is much more powerful for around here, and Bugs Bunny has catched up to Ab, and what's better for Bugs Bunny is that Ab's he's having to make the move on Chemjazz and Flea, so he's kind of stuck in traffic at this time. So Bugs Bunny in the Ferrari, who's now right on the back of Ab, he's just 7/10 behind his teammate. This could affect Ab's Grand Prix results. So we will find out how this all works out. But here comes the Ferrari making the move on the Aston Martin. That Ferrari of Bugs Bunny also looking to make the move as down the inside goes Ayob on the fresher compounded tires. Moves himself up into second place now. For Bugs Bunny, he has to overtake the Aston Martin as soon as possible as he's already side by side as I'm talking about him right now. And he has already made that move. That was perfect for Bugs Bunny if he wants to have a good chance of winning this Grand Prix off of his teammate. So we will find out how that works out as Fearless gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. I'm assuming at turn 6, I think that is. I can't tell exactly. Keep an eye on this battle for P1 as well. Bugs Bunny and Ayob stuck in traffic right now, but could this allow for one of the drivers to try and make a move on their teammate here, particularly Bugs Bunny, trying to make a move on Ayob's? We will see how this all works out because Ayob is stuck behind Flea right now. Bugs Bunny is now trying to use the ERS to take this situation and use it against Ayob as they're going side by side. This is exactly what was predicted, and it is worked out for Bugs Bunny. He moves himself up into second place of the French Grand Prix, which is technically the first in the Grand Prix. He will most likely get ahead of Flea as well. He's going round the outside of the AlphaTauri driver. What a move this is going to be if he can pull this off, and it looks like he's going to do so, but Flea is right there as well. Ooh, a little bit of contact between the Ferrari and the AlphaTauri. I'm assuming Bugs Bunny didn't expect that the AlphaTauri of Flea would come back at him, but Flea was not giving that position up anytime soon, but of course he had to if he was going to make sure that he kept his position and was able to try and make this move on Bugs Bunny. He's going to the outside line, not a lot of space there, but he tries to make the move and tries to get past, and it looks like he's going to get past Bugs Bunny, and that was a brilliant move, but Bugs Bunny's going to come back at him, using all the ERS as possible. Keep an eye on the battle for third as well, as Rabbi is right there as well. Same with Anthony, as they're too wide into almost both sets of cars there, as Ayob now trying to challenge his teammate. Oh, and there's contact! Major contact. Both Ferraris has been spun around there. That is the two race leaders that have been spun around. There's contact between Ayob and Bugs Bunny, and that is exactly what Ferrari did not need on lap 14 here today, as both made contact, and that is the #1 rule that you should not break. Do not hit your teammate. Unfortunately, that is exactly what's happened in today's race. I wonder if Rabbi got damaged there, as it looks like the Haas collected the Ferrari there. I'm not exactly sure. That has allowed Anthony to now move up into second place now, but the two Ferraris have made contact. This is affected in a huge end result of the Grand Prix, because you know what? Anyone could really win this Grand Prix now. This is a huge thing. Also disappointing for Crossfire Strikes, as he also got caught up in that. I didn't see too much of it, but I think when one of the Ferraris got out on track, as Bugs Bunny is out of the Grand Prix, he thinks there's too much damage, and he is out of the race. The Ferrari driver is out, and that is just drama at Ferrari. That is super unfortunate, but what I was saying is, Crossfire Strikes, I think when one of the Ferraris came back on track, he got hit from one of those Ferraris coming back on track, and the McLaren got damage to that. So that's super unfortunate, of course, but that's the way it goes. But that has allowed for a super intense end to the Grand Prix now. Anyone has got a good chance of winning this one, as the two Ferraris were in a really good position, and unfortunately they made contact, and that ended in a really difficult position. As Anthony makes the move on Flea, the Alpine has actually got a really good shot at winning this one, but I still think Rabbi has actually got the best chance of winning this French Grand Prix, just due to Anthony having those 6 seconds time penalties, and Rabbi having 0 penalties right now, and of course he is the championship leader, so he's most likely going to be quicker, but of course I don't know that. I don't know that exactly. Anthony could be the quicker driver in this case, but we don't know how this is going to work out, as Flea gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Where was that? I thought he was coming into the pit lane. At first, I thought it was like he was speeding in the pit lane. He's going to get a 5-second penalty. I thought that was what came up on my screen, but it was a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Did he just go too wide at the pit entrance? I have no idea what that was all about, but he got that penalty. As speaking of penalties, Anthony's just got a 3-second time penalty. Ooh, that might affect his end result. He's gonna have to get a serious gap to Rabbi right now and make sure that if he's gonna win this Grand Prix, he's got to get that gap. He's got to get a 9-second gap to Rabbi. That is a huge gap to get, especially on the driver that's leading the championship, and is highly regarded as one of the drivers that is like the fastest in this tier. As here comes Rabbi trying to make the move on Anthony. Two great drivers going wheel to wheel, and it looks like Rabbi with the straight line speed gets up into P1. It's looking pretty good for the championship leader as he's leading us away, but of course Anthony could still win this Grand Prix. I'd say also Aub could also win this Grand Prix as well. Keep an eye on that Ferrari driver. He doesn't have any damage, and we know how quick he is. He got pole position in the French Grand Prix, and he also led the race for quite some time. Of course, there was contact with the two Ferraris. They both spun, of course, but it's not over yet for one of the Ferraris in today's race. Keep an eye on Kingsholm as well in the AlphaTauri, looking pretty strong right now. He's on 4-lap-old hard compound tires. Keep an eye also on Crossfire Strikes. I think these two are going to be flying through the field. The thing is that they got Bearded Dave ahead of them, and Dave is on 10-lap-old mediums, and he's going to be struggling towards the end of this race. He'll be on 20-lap-old medium compound tires, and I don't know if those mediums can last to the end of the Grand Prix, so Kingsholm and Crossfire will most likely move up into their current positions. Chemjazz on the soft compound tires. I don't know if those make it to the end of the Grand Prix either. We will find out how that works out. By the way, I gotta say, let's take a look at this so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. Yo-Yo in the Mercedes has gained 13 positions and looking to gain now 14 because he's got the DRS and try and make a move on Sad Pancake for P4 in the Grand Prix. So Yo-Yo might be able to get possibly the driver of the day today, because I mean from all the way at the back of the field to P4, possibly P5. I mean right now he's currently P5, but if he gets past Sad Pancake, then the Mercedes might be able to make the move on the Williams driver and possibly get P4 and rise 14 positions. That'll be interesting to see how that all works out. Sad Pancake in a really good position as well. P4 raised 4 positions as well, so that's good for him. Great to see that as well. Dr. Wolfane also looking for P4 in the Grand Prix. No penalties as it stands for the McLaren driver, so he will most likely get P4 if the gap stays the same as it is. Any other moves we're seeing on track? I guess Chemjazz and Flea continue their battle. Flea on mediums that are 1 lap old. Chem on 3-lap-old softs. Now, those softs are most likely going to be faster than the AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri, who's running the medium compound tires in today's race. So we'll see how that all works out. But in today's race, we have lost Mr. Basil, Lucas, and Bugs Bunny. All very quick drivers, all out of the Grand Prix. They will most likely come back at the next one and come back stronger, you know? I mean, sometimes there's those incidents in racing, and all you can do is move on to the next one and try and go again and hopefully get a good result at that next one. And speaking of that next one, we just have a few races remain of the Grand Prix. We should definitely talk about that championship while we have the moment. There's not too many overtaking going on right now. I think our closest battle is mainly between Anthony and Rabbi right now for P1. That's a nice little battle for P1 in the Grand Prix. So that's good as well. But yeah, it's looking pretty good right now. I think there's a lot of drivers in the championship that are looking pretty strong. We'll go over that in just a second. But what I quickly wanted to do is just go over the final remaining races of the Tuesday Night Racing League. Let me quickly do that. As here we go. Here's the little little calendar here. As we just have around 5 races left, including this one. This will be the 6th race to go, of course, in season 2, and then after here we're going to Suzuka, to the Japanese Grand Prix, then to Interlagos for the Brazilian Grand Prix, then we're going to be heading to the Algarve International Circuit for the Portuguese Grand Prix, and then we're going to be heading to Imola for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, and then to Yas Marina, so for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to round off the season as well. A super intense championship that's going to come down to. I can't wait for that one. I hope you guys are going to be excited for all that. In terms of the championship, we should definitely talk about that now when we have the chance to. So right now, Rab still leads the championship, 167 points to the Haas driver's name. Now he's going to score more points than Tim, who has 164.5 points to the Aston Martin driver's name as well. Now Keen is going to grab some really good positions in today's race. So Keen's home in that AlphaTauri. If he gets some good points in today's race, he might be able to close that gap a little bit. And right now he is still in contention for the drivers championship as well, if he's able to if Tim and Rab don't get good points, which that is highly unlikely because they've been really doing a great job this season, Keen's home could still win the championship. So we will see how that all works out. But yeah, there is a nice battle up there for the Drivers' Championship. In terms of the Constructors, Haas lead us away by 226 points to their name. As it stands, Aston Martin sit with 217 points. So there is a little bit more of a gap than the Drivers' Championship in terms of points there for first and second. But Aston Martin and Haas definitely still in this. Rab's going to be scoring some really good points for drivers and constructors. The only Aston Martin driver that will be scoring points today would be Chemjaz, as we're riding on board with that Aston Martin driver. Now, he's looking pretty strong on the soft compound tires. If he scores some good points today, they got to make sure they do that so they can keep in contention with Haas in that championship. We will find out how that all works out, though. So Crossfire just got past Chemjaz. Crossfire now up into P8. Crossfire is making his moves now. I think he's starting to come back into this race now. He had to pit a little bit earlier on, of course, so we didn't see too much of him into the end part of the Grand Prix. Anthony and Rab trade positions now. What's going on here? We have a nice little battle for P1 in the Grand Prix. I'll catch back up what I was saying in just a little bit. Oh! There is a little bit of contact with Anthony and Rab. I got a little scared there. Sorry, guys. But Anthony and Rab make a little bit of contact. That could have resulted in both of them out of the Grand Prix, but that almost was the end of it for both there. Both their results in today's race. That was super close to contact and super close to, super close to retirement for both drivers there. All good, though. A little bit of a scare, to be honest. But that has allowed Aab to now try and challenge Anthony, maybe down into turn 1. We will find out how that all works out, as the Ferrari will try and make the move on the Alpine. Not into turn 15. There's not enough moves, not enough space to make the move on the Alpine this time round. But he has the DRS, he has the ERS, the slipstream, and the power of that Ferrari to try and go past the Alpine. Let's see how this all works out. He's going to go side by side with the Alpine coming down into turn 1. Who's going to get ahead? It is Aab that gets ahead of the Alpine for now. So Anthony stays in P3, Aab now up to P2, and I think the battle is just on between first and second place now, as Aab's got no penalties, Rab has got no penalties, and this will all be for penalties in this Grand Prix, because everyone else has pretty much got a penalty in today's race. So now it's all about Rab and Aab. If they can get us a really good performance in today's race, if they can give us a really good race, we will find out how that all works out. Anthony's got a good shot at taking P1 as well, but he has to get that that gap off of Rab, and that's going to be really difficult to do, but it is definitely possible. So we'll see how it all works out. Hope for the best, of course, for the Alpine. Hopefully he'll get a good result in today's race. Right now he's sitting P3 and should be able to grab third in this race, so that'll be good for him. Right now, I think for penalties, he's got 9 seconds time penalties. Sad Pancake's got 8, and Yo-Yo's got 6 time penalties. As it stands, Dr. Wolfame will take P4 in the Grand Prix, with actually Crossfire and Flea continuing their battle. Crossfire will most likely finish in P5, so that'll be some great points for McLaren in the championship. Fearless gets a 3-second time penalty, and the battle still continues on between Flea and Crossfire. Ooh, Flea defending that line a lot there as Crossfire doesn't have a lot of space to work with, but it worked out for the McLaren driver. Oh, but he goes wide and spins it! Crossfire spins it, he saves it out of the wall! Ooh, that was so close to hitting the wall there. Thank goodness he kept it going. Didn't lose too much time there, but he did lose a lot of places there. He lost lost 2 places to the AlphaTauri team, as both of them will move up into 7th and 8th position. But that's difficult for Crossfire, as he's going to be down into P9. He hasn't had the best of races, I gotta say, but he has always come back, and he's always tried to be able to get a good result, you know. Yeah, we'll see how that all works out. He should be able to get some good points in today's race, especially if he can catch... Oh, as he spins it! Again, off turn 15. He's going to get back on track all good there. No penalties, of course, as the game doesn't give random penalties. Sometimes, why I said that is because sometimes the game gives random penalties for spinning off there. Thank goodness that didn't happen. As that is an Alfa Romeo going slow. I think that's Warren in the Alfa Romeo. I think he may have spun off at the exit of 10. Can't tell exactly, though. The battle for 4th is getting quite interesting as well. Yo-Yo on Sad Pancake. Yo-Yo looking for P5 in the Grand Prix as it stands. He's currently P5, but Dr. Wolfame will most likely move up into P4, and then Yo-Yo will stay in P5 as he's able to keep ahead of Sad Pancake. So, yeah, that's that as Crossfire gets a 3-second time penalty. He's got 3 seconds now to his name. He's starting to catch that gap maybe on Keen's home, but right now it doesn't look like that too much. So 22 laps into the French Grand Prix. 1.5 second gap separating the top 2 drivers in today's race. And it's been a really, really interesting Grand Prix, guys. I really have enjoyed this race. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. It's been an amazing race here in Tuesday night's Racing League. I just can't wait I can't wait for this championship, guys. I hope you guys are excited for this one as well. It's going to be a really close championship. I think definitely between Tim and Rab, I think those two will be fighting it out. I can't wait for just like a Verstappen v Hamilton battle for that championship. It will be fun to see how that all works out. So any more action we're seeing on track? It doesn't look like it. I think our closest battle we're seeing might be Chem Jazz on Nem, I think, for P9 in the Grand Prix. I think that's our closest battle as Crossfire is out of the Grand Prix. He retires in the pit lane, though, so the McLaren will most likely not bring out a virtual or a full course safety car. So our closest battle is still between Chem and Namjez, and then also our battle between Yo-Yo and Sad Pancake, who are going side by side. I think Yo-Yo will stay behind of that Williams for now, so the Mercedes will stay behind, but he's got a lot of slipstream and a lot of ERS to try and get ahead of that Williams. Let's see how this all works out. Sad Pancake trying to defend that line, maybe going for the switchback maneuver on the Mercedes driver. Yo-Yo gets ahead. Sad Pancake now trying to go down the inside on the Mercedes driver, but Pancake cannot get past Yo-Yo, and that Mercedes move up into P4. Can move from the Mercedes. A nice battle there between Pancake and Yo-Yo. Great to see that. So the battle still will continue on between these guys in today's race, as it looks like Dr. Wolfane must have lost it or something like that. I think a yellow flag where he was peered out on track, maybe lost it on the exit at turn 12. It kind of looks like that. But the battle still continues on between Pancake and Yo-Yo. Will Pancake get ahead of the Mercedes driver? It doesn't look like it quite yet. He'll have the opportunity, though, down into turn 8. We will find out how that all works out. As, oh, Yo-Yo gets a 3-second time penalty. So now, right now, Sad Pancake will finish ahead of Yo-Yo. That'll be good to see. We'll see how that all works out. We'll see a nice battle for P4 in the Grand Prix. But that's super unfortunate for Yo-Yo now, because he got that 3-second penalty, which is going to affect his end result in the Grand Prix. He will most likely finish 6th in the Grand Prix. So why not? Let's talk about where we are. Talk about the French Grand Prix while we have the chance. Of course, we're here in Paul Ricard, round 12 of this championship, as we have Pancake looking for the move on the Mercedes driver. He cannot get past quite yet. This track has hosted many different Grand Prix. Back in 1986, Villeneuve had a very scary incident. That was a little incident that happened. He hit the nearby barrier. I think that was at, what was it? Manicours, I want to say, or it was, what was it? I can't remember the circuit exactly. Maybe it was Paul Ricard. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly what circuit that was for Villeneuve. Thankfully, he was okay, though. It was great to see that, of course. 1989 collision at turn 1. It was many different cars. I remember, okay, I didn't watch that, of course, but I remember seeing it on, like, YouTube or something like that, I think the F1 posted it on their YouTube that there was a crazy collision. I saw that car go over the top of another car. Can't remember who exactly it was, but it was chaos at turn 1 in 1989. Also, another little moment from the French Grand Prix past 2004 at Manicourt. This is a moment I think a lot of people remember. Barrichello steals 3rd place from Trulli. He stole that at the last corner. One of the last, I think one of the last races that I think a lot of people remember where there was like a move for 3rd at like the last corner of the Grand Prix. You don't see that very often in Grand Prix history, especially for a top position like 3rd place. But yeah, Barrichello was able to grab that away from the Renault driver. Of course, Renault were disappointed because that was their home Grand Prix, but that's the way it goes. But that was a nice moment in the French Grand Prix past. Now, a quick moment, or a quick little talk I wanted to mention there. I think the French Grand Prix is going ahead, but if the French Grand Prix wasn't going ahead for 2022, what circuit would you like to see maybe host the race? Because I've heard that, Sad Pancake gets past Yo-Yo. Very good move there from the Williams driver. Yo-Yo will try and catch back up, though, to the Williams driver. But yeah, guys, I heard that Paul Ricard might not be hosting the French Grand Prix next season, and if it's not hosting the French Grand Prix, where would you guys like to see it? That's a little question. I know it's off topic from, of course, the league and the commentary and all that sort of thing, but just a quick question since we're here in France. Why not? But Sad Pancake got another penalty, I do believe, and now he's going to finish behind Yo-Yo, so it swaps again, guys. It does swap again. Meanwhile, while we were talking about the French Grand Prix past, Ayoub has now closed the gap on Rabbi, and while we're talking about that close finish to a Grand Prix back in 2004, we may get a very close finish to the Grand Prix in P1 and P2, of course, here in the French Grand Prix in LFR, because we got that really close battle between Rabbi and Ayoub. Let's see how this all works out. Ayoub has closed the gap now to 0.6 of a second. He's going to have just a few more straights to go if he's going to be able to win the Grand Prix in France. Talk about last lap overtakes. We may see this here for the race lead in LFR. This is going to be a titanic battle, and one that I think a lot of people will be talking about if Ayoub's able to pull this one off, of course. Let's see how this all works out. We are now on lap 26, out of lap 27. Don't go away, guys, because the battle is just getting started for the final lap of the Grand Prix between Rabbi and Ayoub. Will Rabbi win the Grand Prix, or will it be Ayoub? Will Ferrari take P1 in qualifying and P1 of the Grand Prix, or will it be the Haas team? We will find out how that all works out. So we got 2 DRS straights to go. Ayoub using this as a closing straight, because this is kind of how this works out, guys, is this straight is more of like a closing straight. You're kind of closing up to that driver ahead, and you're waiting for that. As Ayoub goes a little bit too wide and gets a 3-second time penalty. Oh no! This is horrible for the Ferrari driver. He just went a little bit too wide, and that, I think, is game over, unless Rabbi gets a penalty as well. But that might just be game over in today's Grand Prix. That is very difficult to see there, as Ayoub most likely won't win the Grand Prix, but unless Rabbi gets a penalty, something could happen. Ayoub is still going to try and overtake Rabbi. Gets very close to the back of the Haas driver. He's going to send it down the inside of the Haas, and he's made that move. Very neat move there from Ayoub. Rabbi knew he was coming. That Haas driver is going to try and give it everything to try and fight back against Ayoub. He knows that he will finish ahead of the Haas if he doesn't get a penalty, but also I think it'll be good to finish ahead of your rivals. But here we go. Nice little battle for the final lap of the Grand Prix. If this wasn't a penalty for Ayoub, this will be extraordinary in today's end of the LFR race. And it still is great to see, of course, a battle for the race victory, even though we kind of know the end result of the Grand Prix, but who knows? We'll see how it all works out. We just have a few corners to go. Is anything going to change? It doesn't look like it. So, Rabbi He's the championship leader. He started down in P3, 4. He started P4. I want to say maybe even P5, I would say. I can't tell exactly, but he's going to come across the line to finish in P1. Rabbi extends his championship lead and wins the French Grand Prix. He gained 5 places. He started P5 in the Grand Prix. He's going to finish in P1. Rabbi wins the French Grand Prix and will extend his championship lead over Tim. Will also help Haas to extend their championship lead over Aston Martin. It's a great day for the Haas team as Rabbi scores great points for Haas. Abe tried everything he possibly could to try and get past Rabbi, but that last 3-second affected his end result of the Grand Prix. Second will still be a great result for him. So congrats to the Ferrari driver as well. Also, congrats to Alpine as they score a home victory, a home podium here today at the French Grand Prix. Anthony, congrats to him as he finishes on the podium. Great job by all 3 drivers. Dr. Wolfane was able to finish in P4, Yo-Yo P5, Kingsholm was able to finish in P6. Great to see that for the AlphaTauri driver. AlphaTauri scored some mega points in today's race as Kingsholm and Flea take P6 and P7. Great points for AlphaTauri as Sad Pancake will finish down in P8, Chemjazz in P9, and Bearded Dave rounding off the top 10 for Red Bull. So that's the end of the French Grand Prix. What an extraordinary race here in LFR. Round 12 of the Season 2 Championship event in Tuesday Night Racing League comes to a close with the championship leader winning out once again and extending his championship lead. What a dominant performance from Rabbi. Of course, he had some pressure, of course, from Bugs Bunny and from Anthony. Lucas was in that fight as well. Same with Abe as well. A great battle there for P1. Extraordinary here in France. Great to see that, of course. It was very interesting to see how that all worked out. But yep, that is the end of today's race in LFR. A very exciting podium as well, as all 3 will be scoring some decent points in today's race. I'm sure they'll be very happy with the performances that they put on in today's Grand Prix. So congrats to the top 3. Congrats to all the racers today. Good points for AlphaTauri as well. They're going to move themselves into a better position, I'd say, coming into the next round. So we'll see how that all works out. But that's the end of the Grand Prix. That's the race results for the race here in the Circuit de Paul Ricard at the French Grand Prix in Les Castellets, France. Rabbi on top, 6th on the grid. He started 6th, finished 1st. What a result for the Haas driver. In terms of driver of the day, I mean, I don't know. It's got to be... it's a really close call because Yo-Yo did a really good, great job today. Flea from 16th to 7th as well. That's a great performance by him. Rabbi as well, 6th to 1st. He did a brilliant job as well. Some other drivers as well. But I think my driver of the day is going to go to Dr. Wolfane, 13th to 4th. That's a really good job by him today. And really great position as well. Or it could be Yo-Yo. It's either Dr. Wolfane or Yo-Yo. Just because Yo-Yo started P18, finished 5th. That's a really good position for the Mercedes driver. So we'll see how that all works out. It's either Dr. Wolfane or Yo-Yo for me. But of course, driver of the day is not something that's like it's a point to someone or something like that. But it's just a fun thing to do. If you guys want to vote your driver of the day, definitely do that in the comments section below. But that's going to be it for the LFR race here today in Tuesday night tier. It's been a very exciting race. I hope you all enjoyed that one. And that's going to be it from this league. Guys, just want to say thank you so much for joining us here today in LFR round 12 of the championship event for the French Grand Prix. So next time out, next week will be the Japanese Grand Prix, round 13 of that championship event. Will Rabbi extend his championship lead even more, or will Tim be back for that one and maybe take it off of Rabbi, and that championship hunt will continue on? I'm sure it will be. I can't wait for that one. So guys, join us then for that stream, which will be next week, same time, of course. And that's going to be it from LFR. I've been your commentator, Formula Jonas. Subscribe to see more content from this league. Subscribe to the channel. Also, subscribe to my channel as well if you guys want to go check out my commentary as well. Formula Jonah is the name of that. So definitely go do that. Like this video if you enjoyed the commentary that was produced for the French Grand Prix. And of course, thank you to all the drivers that raced. Thank you to all the admins that got this league going I know that I got the racing underway today. It's a real big, just want to say a real big thank you to all those guys. Also, the biggest thank you to all the viewers that watch. You guys are incredible. Keep up the great work by sending in some comments, sending these streams to your friends and all that sort of thing, and just keep being awesome, you know? So anyway, I've been Formula Jonah, your commentator for today on the LFR stream. We'll see you all for the next one. Have a good day, and see you later. Peace out.